Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining me. In today's update, we will take a closer look at the upcoming weather pattern and briefly review the major winter storm that is concluding in the northeastern part of the country. We will also examine the very active and cold conditions that we expect to persist across the central and eastern United States. This will be a more concise update today. I have been preparing some detailed materials for our Prestige Weather Community Forum, which you are welcome to visit using the links in the description and the pinned comment below. I have been quite busy posting information there in the announcements section. Our community has been very engaged with this storm and with discussing potential future systems, so please feel free to join the conversation. As we examine this storm, it is clear that it has been a very powerful and dynamic one, bringing a wide variety of impacts. We observed supercell thunderstorms just off the coast of the Outer Banks, and some of those did indeed move ashore, producing severe weather. Very heavy rainfall occurred over many areas, and we have seen significant wintry precipitation across numerous locations, which is still continuing. In fact, the snowfall has been very heavy for many communities throughout New York State, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, and portions of Connecticut. It seems the only state in the Northeast mostly spared has been Rhode Island, where only the far northern areas are seeing any snow. This has certainly been an impressive storm, and we would love to see your photographs. Any videos or similar recordings you may have captured would also be wonderful to see. If you experienced this snowstorm, you can share them in our community forum, as we always enjoy seeing them. We are also holding a December photo contest, so we encourage you to submit your pictures. Now, let us turn our attention to the forecast models, starting with the European model. By the early morning hours of tomorrow, this storm system will have moved out of the region. By tomorrow afternoon, we will be left with very cold air in its wake. We can expect some snow showers throughout the Rockies and the northern plains, as well as near the Great Lakes. For the most part, however, our main snow system will be finished. As we look ahead toward Thursday, we can see what is developing next. We still have the northern jet stream dipping down into the central states and moving eastward, with the southern jet stream feeding moisture into it. This combination is what will form our next winter storm to watch. At present, it does not appear to be a particularly significant event. However, the foundational elements are in place for it to potentially develop into something more noteworthy. There is certainly no guarantee of that outcome, but the possibility exists as this system moves across the south. The European model shows some potential snowfall for Kentucky, West Virginia, and Virginia this Friday, which is just a few days away. This is a system that warrants our close attention. It then moves toward the mid-Atlantic, including the District of Columbia, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. At this time, the model does not show the system strengthening as it moves up the coast. There remains a chance that its track could shift, bringing more significant impacts to the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. For now, however, the guidance shows the system moving directly offshore with minimal impact. Immediately following that system, another potential threat emerges, as the southern stream remains extremely active while this colder air stays in place to the north. We can see this second system moving through. This one does not appear to be a major snow producer at this time, but it will carry a great deal of moisture very close to the cold air. If this system tracks farther north, we could be looking at a more significant weather event for Saturday into Sunday. That would be on the 6th and into the 7th of the month. As you can see, there are numerous potential systems ahead. Looking further, we see a series of clipper systems moving through, and temperatures are expected to drop as we head toward the 7th, 8th, and 9th. That time frame covers late this weekend and early next week, and we do see these clipper systems continuing. Here is one system for the Midwest on Tuesday, the 9th. It is forecast to move into the Great Lakes, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Northeast, developing into a small low-pressure system offshore. This is a fairly classic setup for the 9th into the 10th. While that particular system does not look major, another one follows right behind it, affecting the Midwest on the 10th, before moving into the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Northeast. This second system does appear to become a more substantial offshore low near the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast on Thursday, the 11th. This would certainly pose a potential snowfall threat for many of these areas. We can see the model indicating moderate to heavy snowfall at this time. After that, the models are suggesting a shift in the overall weather pattern. We see the main jet stream building a ridge in the east, which would begin to direct winter storms more toward the northern plains, the Midwest, and the Great Lakes. Much like we have seen recently, one system passes, and then a very significant western snow system develops toward the end of the forecast period. This pattern change appears to happen after the 10th, according to the models. Since much of this is beyond 7 days out, and a good portion is beyond 10 days out, we should approach this long-range forecast with some caution, but I have noticed this consistent trend. Now, as we take a look at the GFS model, we see our current snowstorm moving away. Then comes a coastal system around the 5th and 6th, which appears much less impactful on this particular model, followed by another one moving in right behind it. This next system appears more substantial on this model. We can see Missouri and Illinois receiving some snowfall on Sunday morning. As we move forward, states such as Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio begin to see snowfall as well. Around 1 in the morning on Monday, December 8th, we see West Virginia and Virginia getting some snow. As the forecast continues, portions of the mid-Atlantic also receive snowfall as the low develops into a fairly substantial offshore system. This is only 5 or 6 days away, in the medium range of the forecast, so it is certainly a system to monitor closely. This will surely be the next storm we discuss at length, not only here on our channel but within our community forum as well. Now, as we continue, we see that system moving out. We then begin to see that same trend of clipper systems, with these storms moving from the Midwest around the 10th into the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley, and eventually affecting the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. This is a very similar setup to what the European model shows, with another system bringing some Mid-Atlantic and Northeast snowfall around the 12th and 13th. So, there are numerous opportunities for snowfall. However, similar to the European model, we see this pattern shift significantly after the 12th, transitioning to a warmer in the east and colder in the west pattern. Consequently, precipitation on the European model begins to increase in the west. We have seen a significant increase there, and we continue to see the southern stream bringing ample precipitation across the southeastern states. The precipitation anomalies reflect that pattern, with a great deal of activity in the west and also in the southeast. Total snowfall on the European model is higher in the west than in previous model runs due to that increase in activity. We also see a good amount of snow for the northern plains, the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, and the Ohio Valley, with more on the way for the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. It appears the GFS model concurs with this forecast. The West shows an increase in activity, and we still see the plains, the Midwest, and the Great Lakes experiencing some activity. However, the more significant story is in the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, where both of these models are forecasting heavy snowfall totals even after the storm we are experiencing right now concludes. Looking at the temperature pattern, we see several waves of colder air heading into the east. Then, the models show a warm-up right after the 12th. It does look like, at the very end of the forecast period, another major Arctic blast could be on the way for the east. However, that is 360 hours out, so its reliability is quite low. On the GFS model, we see one major cooldown, then we see a second and a third major cooldown, followed by an almost fourth, very minor one. After the 12th, we see a warm-up, just like the European model shows. So, both models are in good agreement on this general progression. I will also say the ensemble guidance appears quite consistent for the period of the 7th through the 17th, showing very warm conditions in the west and very cold conditions in the east. This is the European ensemble model. The GFS ensemble model shows a very similar pattern, warmer in the west and colder in the east. This represents excellent agreement between these ensemble models, both for the 7th through 17th and the 8th through 18th timeframe. This agreement suggests that the long-range forecast continues to look quite favorable as we approach and pass the midway point of the month. I appreciate your patience with this more concise update today. I have been occupied with other forecast preparations, which is why today's video is coming to you a little later than usual. I do hope you found it informative. We would be honored if you would subscribe, as we upload a new forecast every single day. You can also select the bell icon to receive daily notifications so you never miss an update. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking it and leaving a comment below. I look forward to speaking with you all again in our next update.